Hello and welcome to my marker skin tone portraits video. I'll be using the Ohuhu alcohol marker 36 skin tone set for these 3 portraits, which I will demo, and I will just have a wee chat over my process, any tips and a few mistakes that I've made. And yes, hopefully you'll enjoy it and gain a little something from it along with me. So starting off here, and a wee tip for you is that I usually like to start with a part of the portrait that just isn't super intimidating to me, just to get me warmed up, and here is definitely the greens of the scarf. So I've picked 3 shades of green that I'm just working in the different tones, working towards the darkest. And I haven't really attempted much traditional skin tone studies before this, so I'm a wee bit nervous. And this is a challenge I've got for myself this ongoing year, just to get better at painting skin, using markers, paints, as well as on Procreate. I think I started to really try and paint skin tones last year, but I did give up. It got quite hard and I do find it really difficult. So I'm going for it again this year with alcohol markers, gouache paints, watercolours, and just character design and stylization on Procreate. So follow me for this journey and see how I get on. So with this portrait, I will say a big mistake I made was the purplish colouring that you can kind of see from the reference photo. So I did not notice that at the time. I'm not sure how I didn't notice it. It's the first thing when I was editing this video and I put this reference photo in, and then I was watching me paint it, and I was just like, no, I've completely missed those tones. But that shows that I've already grown as an artist, so there's a wee mistake right there and something I would do differently. But I still like how she turned out, but I think it would have looked really cool with those tones added in. But we learn. So I start off with a lighter tone for the face, again just kind of easing myself in and building up my confidence. And so you just need to find ways to make the process easier for yourself, and it can just be so intimidating trying new mediums, new subjects. So if there's just a way that you can find to make it easier for yourself, then go for it. So here I am feeling a wee bit more confident. I'm laying in a mid-tone. So I think she also does have warm mid-tones, and there's definitely like a yellowish and like you can see a pinkishy tone, as well as obviously the part that I missed, the bluishy purple tones. But so my plan here is just to build more tones, getting a bit darker each time, layering them on top of each other. I know I really want it to turn out really well, but it is sketchbook practice and I am quite new to painting skin, especially with markers. So we need to be okay with experimenting and making mistakes and learning from them, which is a very, very hard part of art. But it's one that I say you do get used to. There are still some times when it does get me down and puts me off, but it's how we grow. So I am relying on my reference photo. I'm consulting it as I'm layering in each stroke, but I do try and keep them very loose and I say scribbly a lot to describe how I do it, but I do kind of scribble on. The tones and the colours in the skin tone set are actually really great, but like I do find them good for these skin tones that I'm doing. I still need to experiment with varying other skin tones. I did try and pick quite warm ones, a super light one, and like ones that had interesting tones throughout and lighting. I'm getting a wee bit more adventurous as we go. Here with the darker marker, I do find the brush tips a wee bit too thick though, so whenever I try and do smaller details, it doesn't really work for that purpose. And just realising here that I had left the eyes out and need to fill them in. So here is where I really should have put in the purplish highlights, but I'm already showing that my skills have improved by noticing that, so you know. I do just love using alcohol markers, and I've put off doing skin tone studies for so long until now. This pack doesn't really have much red for the lips, which is one of the things I'm struggling to find the colours for. When I paint with markers, and as I get more comfortable and warmed up, I do genuinely love the painting process, and I do become looser and I do make my marks more intuitively. That's something I have yet to achieve with using gouache. I'm still working on it. I'm still struggling with gouache, but... I'm using a black ink pen here just because I wanted darker lines throughout the hair, and it has a finer tip so I can do a wee bit more detailing. And I do really love adding the coloured pencil on top for some texture and for adding extra depth and tones. And I used the Prismacolor Premier Pro coloured pencils, I think they're called. Just a set that I bought years ago to do more in-depth colour pencil studies, and kind of find that I don't actually like using coloured pencils on their own. I'm definitely a mixed media kind of girl. I think that's why I'm struggling with gouache as well, and because I'm desperate to just like add in my coloured pencils and ink pens to do a lot of the work, but I need the gouache to do more of the work. And then we go on to the finer details, and I don't include much of this in the video just because I thought it would be pretty boring. Me scribbling away with the ink pen. Just me outlining and adding in some more details. And then we have the white highlights, one of my favourite parts of the process, when the highlights just sort of bring it all together. And I maybe do just go a wee bit overboard with that, but apparently that's just part of my art style. And here we are on to the next one. So I tried to pick a different skin tone. This one's very light with like sort of orangey and pink undertones, and I really wanted to see how I could do this with the markers. I think that's something that I really try and do, is I pick interesting references or subjects that gets me excited to think, how can I make that work, or how is that going to look with the colours I pick from the set that I've got. You know, just a wee bit of challenging for myself and a wee bit exciting too. And so again, we start with something small here, like the lips, and then I move on to the hat, it's very clear to me what colours I want to use for the base, the midtones and the shadows, and builds up my confidence and loosens me up a wee bit. And I do tend to use 3 colours when tackling an area like a hat, so I use like the base, the midtone and a darker one for shadows, and that's really how I get started. And then I'll go back in, I'll add more depth, maybe with another marker, but I'll add the black ink and some coloured pencils and white highlights just to add some more depth. And it's a little different for painting the skin, so I'm trying to get better at picking more variety, highlighting different tones and shades and any underlying colours, basically trying to expand my observation skills and getting better at identifying more than just 3 tones in the picture. And I really wanted the orange to come through with this portrait, so I picked quite a bright orange to start for the hair. Again, I just sort of build up to actually painting the skin by doing everything else first. I do show a wee bit more of my swatching process for picking my colours with the next portrait. And I do generally, I like to put down one colour as my base. Here my starter colours are quite similar. I think I was a wee bit afraid to jump in with 2 dark colours because she is quite pale. So it's a very gradual build here, trying to keep the pinkish and orange undertones. And like I choose a dark redishy marker here for some of the darkest shadows. I think it would work well with the warm tones. This colour here I think is pear colour or honey maybe. I think this was a perfect lighter shadow colour and I was super happy with it. So I don't massively make an effort to blend my colours, but I think by layering them I am blending them a bit, and I do tend to work in one area. Like I do only sit down for about 15-20 minutes on my breaks at work on my lunch break, maybe before I arrive early for work, and I do my art there. I do only maybe have like 15-20 minute increments, so I'll make sure not to start an area unless I can finish the alcohol markers in one go so that they are still wet when I'm applying them. So I think that then helps them all blend together. But I don't sort of go in with a concentrated effort to sort of smooth out and blend them over. I don't really want a super smooth blended style to my portraits. I like the looser, painterly and sort of scratchy kind of style. And here comes the texture. I also add a turquoise colour to the hat, just because I thought like the blues that I had weren't really, there was a nice sort of turquoise-ish colour and I thought that would work really well with the orange tone, so I want to bring that out a wee bit more, and some more orange and brown hues. And I forgot the eyebrows and the eyes, so putting that in here. And I think this colour is Thin Persimmon maybe, and I really like this one, so I went and added that in to various other areas. I thought it just needed a bit of a darker shadow, and when I put this colour on I was like, no, this is the right colour. I like this one. It's nice and warm, and was a perfect colour for the shadows. And onto the highlights. And I'm using a Posca marker here with the brush tip, and I really kind of like how it sinks into the page. And again, some fine liner details, and I'll try and keep it short so we can then move on to the next portrait. So my swatching process basically just involves testing out some colours, and I try to pick them based off of the reference photo. I'll just lay them on top of each other and next to each other on this piece of mixed media card, and I just see how they complement each other and how well they're showing the colours that I want to highlight, and if the colours are showing up the way I want them to. And it just also helps me then go into my portrait like with a plan of what colours I want and where I'll put them. By putting them on the page, I'm just kind of like, oh yeah, that makes a really nice colour that I can see in the cheeks, or this is going to be the shadows, and it's like a wee thumbnail. And so for this portrait, I really wanted the yellow glowy undertone to be so prominent in it, but I really should have left gaps for the white highlights. So I do go back in and put them in with my Posca marker, just so that I don't cover them up with other areas, because you do want, where possible, to leave. I don't do that often at all, actually, in leaving the blank page. I should get better at doing that. And not relying so heavily on my white highlighters to come in, because sometimes they don't come through. And I'm definitely braver by this portrait, and here I am just jumping in with a pink, and I'm quite proud of myself for that. And so I really just thought, let's just put these colours down, no second guessing, and let's just see how it goes. I think confidence has been built, and the other ones didn't turn out super awful, so I was like, okay, well, you know, what can how can I really screw this up? Let's see. And like, my process for digital painting is quite different, and I'm really struggling to get a process for painting skin with gouache. Like, the ones I've done so far are just quite bad. But I am very happy with how these ones turned out, and I will continue to fill the sketchbook with more alcohol marker explorations. I think for my next ones I might try and do more stylized ones, and maybe even try some character designs in alcohol markers. So I'm currently trying to do mermaid, not all of it. I definitely won't get all of them done. I'm trying to aim for maybe about 10. So there's a lot of digital art at the moment, but once I'm through that, I'll get back to sketchbooking over summer. I do tend to lean towards Procreate and digital art over winter, and then when it comes to like April and summer and the sun comes back out, and I will get my sketchbook back out. So yeah, let me know in the comments if you'd like to see any digital art videos for Procreate, if you're interested in that kind of content too. I'm never sure what to put on this YouTube channel, if it should strictly just be traditional art or markers, or if I should just include a bunch of different things that I'm trying out. Just let me know. So I just love how these markers look and the effects that I'm getting with them. The subtle tones, the subtle tone shifts, and like the pops of yellow and pink. And another thing I really want to work on this year is lighting. So I really love art that has quite dramatic lighting, or like even beautiful soft hints of sunlight. And it's something I haven't really studied much or played about with, and that's something I really want to start incorporating into my art. So that's another thing for me to learn. It's always fun to have something new to learn and work towards. So I'm trying to be quite loose with the hair. I really don't want to study the reference too much and pick out exactly where I see the darker parts, but rather like sort of roughly put them in throughout. And we add some more coloured pencils here just to get a wee bit more of the rosy cheeks and redo some of those white highlights. And here it is, the finished portraits. I really hope you enjoyed watching my process, and please consider liking and subscribing if you'd like to see more, and please leave any comments and suggestions of any videos you'd like to see. And I'll see you next time.